Hello and welcome back to the Battle Room. My name is Colin, and today I'm joined by my good friend Raghav. How you doing, buddy?
Doing good. Had a good day. Won a mid-season today with only 5 Pokemon, so
That's
feeling real
huge.
big.
You decided to flex it out, not use your right to use all 6 Pokemon, and instead just use just 5. Just
Okay,
to
it
flex
wasn't
on
by
them.
choice necessarily, but sure, I was exercising my rights in a very patriotic way.
Exactly. You know what else is very patriotic is, of course, making tier lists. Now, we're gonna be doing a REG G tier list. We're moving back to REG G. So I thought, what better way to start this new format than by making a tier list? And of course, we do have to look at our old tier list because that is something we haven't really done before, I guess. But yeah, so we're
The
gonna.
format's changing back, so we can actually really reflect on the terrible choices that we made.
So right here is the tier list that we made previously, with one S tier of Calyrex Shadow Rider, and then we have Calyrex Ice, Groudon, Miraidon, Koraidon, and Kyogre in A. How do you feel about this one?
It's a really fat A tier. By the way, we called this the definitive restricted tier list. So we were really confident in this. We knew it was going to be sauce. But, to be fair, we didn't even know Terapagos mechanics at the time.
That is true. That is true.
Like, okay, really, really crowded, heavy traffic in the A tier. Also, what the fuck is Ho-Oh doing there? We said Ho-Oh's going to be as good as Terapagos and also better than Zam.
The Zam is probably the worst part. To say that we're gonna see more Dialga and Kyurem than Zam is fucking insane. That one is.
We have a Necrozma in there.
we did Zam the dirtiest of the dirty. Like there's no way we could have put him lower. Like to say the Zam was the biggest. Like that's a war crime putting the Zam where he is. I think the whole fucking tier list is a war crime, but it's looking back on it, it's quite terrible.
No, this is actually blasphemous. It's super fucked up.
But
this
they
next
ate him
one,
up, dude. This one's gonna be the one though. I feel like this time, I know with our track record of this tier list, this time though, I think we're right on the money. Like I understand this format better than any format ever before, personally.
I actually completely agree. I'm super confident now. We had a whole World Championships. I've been practicing, and I feel like I have a pretty good grasp on the game right now. Just because it's like an older format, I feel like we both can knock this out the park, and this will be the definitive tier list.
And also, like again, we did prep for Worlds. We played like 900 games of Pokemon, or I did.
I did too, just to help you.
Yeah, so like I feel like, and also in tournament, I've used Calyrex Ice, Zamazenta, Koraidon, and Kyogre. So I've used quite a plethora of restricteds. So I feel like I'm very.
And I've used Zacian.
Yeah, and we've also practiced a lot with Shadow Rider. That one, we're kind of taking credit when we probably shouldn't, but it's there. We've practiced with it.
We know what it does.
Exactly. So now, let's begin. So with this tier list, we're going to kind of speed up through some of it because, like, I'm just going to say these guys are just, like, do not use these guys. Like, they're just not... They're not worth your time. Kyogre's, like, the first real one.
I think it's B tier.
It's definitely, like, I feel like you can use it, but you have to be, like, really, really deliberate. Like, you got to come up with some new fucking sauce or tech that just puts it over the top. Like, I think of the Tangs with their Assault Vest Kyogre Grimmsnarl that, like, people weren't really prepared for. So they kind of went really deep with it, but they, like, reinvented Kyogre, right?
Yeah, and Crystal Rain was similar where it was, like, it was winning a lot in online tournaments. I think it was Crystal.
Yeah, Crystal Rain.
Yeah, so you have to be pretty inventive with it, and I do think it could win a tournament. I think it's on the high end of B, but as we'll see later in the video, I think there's just an upper tier of restricteds that are better.
I think Groudon is like a little worse, right? But
It's not one of those. No, it's definitely C tier.
But like
low B.
Groudon is like, I think, viable. Like if it won a tournament, I would be really shocked. But like, it's not like if Rayquaza won a fucking tournament, right? If Rayquaza won a tournament, like that's fucking crazy. That's like where you just like, I can't even imagine that physically happening in the human world. Whereas like Groudon, he totally could. He's good in a Miraidon. That alone makes him
in the
good.
Human world, bro. The aliens are winning with
in
Rayquaza,
this
bro.
existence, Rayquaza is never going to win a regional. Like I just can't.
Not
see
on
it.
this planet.
Not on this
Absolutely
planet.
not.
Same with
Dialga. Honestly, we have a while until Kyurem White.
I don't even think Kyurem White's super worth it.
Dude, Kyurem White's like probably Groudon tier.
You think, dude?
The lowest end of it, yes.
Oh my gosh, like half the restricteds are like.
Hey, Lunalo's C tier for sure. Lunala almost cut Worlds, I think, or did with the hard trick room.
Did it? I don't remember if it
Something
did.
like that. I think it's C, dude, for sure.
It's actually kind of nuts, by the way. If you look at this tier list already, it's just like the new Pokemon are better, and that's just kind of how the game is. Like, it's not even worth using any of the old legendaries.
Kyogre, those.
I think Zacian is. I think Kyogre and B is just impressive as fuck. If you like look at the way that we have the remaining Pokemon are waiting here, like Kyogre is still holding it down, and B is impressive. I think Zacian is pretty decent. It's good.
I would say it's C tier though, for sure. As someone who used it at NAIC, I think it could have gone better. I had the wrong Mon on my sheet. Like I had a team sheet error, which has been happening pretty frequently. I need to get that checked out. But I still think I was like, it's not the best. The ones above it are a lot easier to win with. I think it's about Groudon tier. It's probably better than Groudon, but like, eh.
I would say it's better than Groudon. I'll give it that. Especially with the bulkier Miraidons, you can outspeed them. Like, he's a fairy type. He's fairy steel. It's just that, like, he's just not... I don't think he's, like, super duper worth your time. Now, I'm just going to get him out of the way. Like, let's get rid of these two. They just don't really matter.
Yeah. And then Baby Zam.
Baby Zam. And now let's talk about the... There they all
the
are.
goats.
Literally the newest Pokemon besides Eternatus, really. And then the baby forms. But yeah, let's talk about Zam first.
Zam's definitely A tier. Phenomenal Pokemon with like kind of scattered success. It's like more sporadic. But we saw Michael Derbesti just kind of clean a whole regional, destroy worlds with it. Michael Zhang's just kind of the innovator of Zam. He's kind of the goat of Zam in my opinion. So it's seen a lot of success with a very specific style. I'm not a believer in like too many of the other like Iron Defense variants, but the Wide Guard set with just a bunch of like interesting quirky offense mons is super strong, and I think it's easily better than any of the Pokemon below it.
I absolutely fucking love Zamazenta. It like when I found this Pokemon, I was like, damn, I actually like playing the game again. This Pokemon's so fun. It's really aggressive, but like you said, it really is like, I didn't even do fucking well with it, but it is like really those two players pushing it forward. But it definitely is like a strong mon that like, it has good matchups, right? The best moves in the game from these motherfuckers are all spread moves. So having Wide Guard makes Zam like a good Pokemon. And I think it just is like, it's such a weird one because I feel like it is like, the success of Zam is like pinpointed on two people, but I do think that other people could pick it up and it can kind of pop off. I do think with the Dozo Calyrex shit, it is annoying for Zam, but I still think it's A tier.
Dude, don't worry about that shit. I mean, you can fine tune your game plans, but I think with Zam is people fall into the trap of thinking it's like some defensive stalwart or some shit. I actually don't know what that word means, so I won't say it. But some defensive guy, you know, some big man.
Like a tank.
When really you just want to be clicking body press and Wide Guard, like kind of being more aggressive with it. You can't intimidate it. If you have a Chien-Pao, shit is just like bonking you.
I think you're right. Like, it is just like you're running max defense, max speed usually now, and like that is obviously very good into like it is just like basically running max attack in a way because of how body press works. But it just makes it so much tankier. But it is just like it just nuke shit with body press. That's all it's trying to do. Just two-shot everything with body press, and then help out its teammates with Wide Guard. It's a good fucking one. I love Zam.
Yeah, it's not quite S tier, but it's like, it's as good as you can get without being a damn horse.
And I think it's a Pokemon that could win an event like really feasibly. Like obviously Michael has won, or no, Michael didn't win. Michael did win. They're both named Michael.
No, he won a regional with it.
He won a regional, right? And he got third at Worlds, which I think is like 2 wins away from winning. And dare I say it, if Michael wins top 4, I think he smashes finals. I think his matchup is really good. So I think like Zam players are just like, it is good enough to win. Whereas like these guys, you're gonna really struggle to win a whole event with them. It's just rough.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about the goat. Let's talk about the 2 goats, the horses.
S tier, baby.
Easy S tier. I think this is like, it just feels so easy to pilot and so strong at the same time. You just get so much value out of it. A lot of these archetypes are like also like really built out. So like obviously Calyrex Ice plus Raging Bolt is one of the most deadly fucking combos in the game. Paired with her Shifu, it's just fucking, you're gonna use all the broken guys in one team.
No, dude, it's really simple. Do you want to be fat and fuck them, or do you want to be fast and fuck everyone? Like, if you're fat, you just do Calyrex Ice Rider. You want to go fast? Chatter Rider. It's stupid. You have insanely strong spread move, and you have Trick Room already built in on Ice
It's
Rider,
true.
and you could it's like you said, Urshifu, Rillaboom, Raging Bolt, Instant, whatever. All of these work as partners with both of them. Okay.
I think they really do just abuse the best like supports in the game. Just love these guys, so it just makes the team building like so. Like you just get to use the best guys, and you get to use the best restrictors. It's just like fucking unfair, cause like
And their abilities are stupid. Their abilities are just ridiculous. Like I don't get how it's allowed. They have three abilities basically. No, it's two, but like you know what I'm saying? Like
yeah,
it,
yeah.
it's just that stupid.
I mean, no
Like,
berries is brutal. Like, I do think there could be some fun counterplay, especially with the ghost resist berry. But like,
oh yeah.
it's not. It's not. Or even Yachi berry and Mungus could be like a really consistent, viable thing. But because of Unnerve, it just like even takes away that little bit of counterplay that you could have.
Yeah, but like on a serious note, I can't say that word. Differentiating between both of them. Yeah, Ice Rider, it doesn't lose the mirror. You don't kill yourself in the mirror, so that's a
true.
huge benefit.
Ice Rider
But-
mirrors are like they're stally. They're grind fest.
Yeah, it's a little unintuitive. But Shadow Rider, on the other hand, is just so much. It's stronger. You can't be intimidated. I know you have a clear amulet, but then you get an item. You know, it's just faster, and it's also like offensively so good into the Ice Rider that
It's true.
the trade-offs in these top 5 mons that we're gonna mention are just like, it's really roulette-y.
They really are, and they all interact with each other, and like they do usually like one of them is just gonna be really hard, and that's just kind of how it is. There's not much you can do. Like if you're an Ice Rider player, this guy's gonna be brutal, and if you're a Zam player, Shadow Rider's a little easier, right? Like they do form like kind of a circle. I would say Ice Rider Zam is weird, but we don't have to get into that.
So yeah, we don't have to get into the minutia of Among Us.
Of Among Us versus Zamazenta. But yeah, these two,
Yeah.
I think what's so unfair is they get to use the broken guys. Like this guy, he's got to use like fucking Entei, like Michael used
Latios.
Entei Latios. Like it feels Chandelure. Like this guy brings out the shit mons and has to use them to somehow survive in the format. These guys are like, yeah, I'll take Rilla Instant, please, maybe your Shifu, and it just makes the game like fucking easy cheater mode, dude. These guys are just fucking broken. They're just. I hate the horses, but they're like the best Pokemon in the game, and you can't escape
I'm
them.
boycotting the DLC. I'm never getting that shit, but yeah, they are easy. If you want to win, you should use those guys probably.
I feel like Koraidon is also B. Like I think
I think it's B
Koraidon-
tier. When you put it in A, I was about to fight a little bit.
No, it's not. I think Koraidon is like another one of those Pokemon that like is like Kyogre, where like I could see it winning a regional personally. I love Koraidon. I love both these two, to be honest. Like
Same.
they're just so fun to play. Koraidon is sick because it makes Flutter Mane broken, Raging Bolt broken. I guess,
Fighting is just a really good stab.
I guess Walking Wake broken. I don't
Dude,
know.
shut up.
But it just makes he's kind of the same way as the horses, but instead he's just like, hey, I'm restricted, but I'm just like here to support my friends, and it makes like the other guys just go absolutely insane.
Yeah, he doesn't get a spread move, but he makes like your other guy so nice that it feels like kind of a spread move because you both are just, you know, enjoying the sun and with boosted powers. You know, like Raging Bolt and Flutter just become like an effective good spread move.
Yeah, it's true, and he just like you can run like I think there's a lot of depth to Koraidon teams, much like the Kyogre teams, because they're just so much more underexplored that you can like whip up some saucy like weird like you could run Ditto or Ogerpon Rock.
Oh, I loved Ogerpon Rock Ditto Koraidon when I ran it at regionals. Was it LA?
It was
it LA
LA,
regionals?
yeah.
That was so fun. The cool part about Koraidon is it does get speed control and flame charge. That's the one, right?
Yep, Flame Shark.
Yeah, and it gets pretty strong, especially when you Terra. It gets boosted into the sun. So he can hold his own. It's just like, it does suck not having a spread move. That's kind of the main drawback. But I would say it's firmly in B tier. And as a rule, if you want to win an event, you should probably pick them on B tier up on this list.
You have to have like a really, really creative or interesting, like it has to be like the stars have to align perfectly with the meta being like dominated by one of them. Like if Miraidon was the best Pokemon in the game and everyone is using it, Groudon now has a chance. Whereas like if Miraidon isn't as popular, like you just shouldn't even waste your fucking time.
Yeah, I'm honestly in C tier. I would say Lunala and Groudon have the best shot at doing well. But I think you really got to go B or higher right now.
Yeah, and I think even B tier, I love both these Pokemon, but like it just seems like the other guys just feel like you're just cheating, dude. You get to use the best Pokemon in the game with the best legendary in the game. It's just unfair.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about the GOAT, bro. The true like new gen. I would argue might be the best Pokemon in the game of
Uh,
Miraidon.
I don't know if it's the best. It did win Worlds, but let's
Point for
just
me.
say Cherry played insane. Luca Cherubelli played amazing. A lot of things, have to happen in order to win. So I wouldn't say that Miraidon's just like, you know, unanimously the best restricted. My favorite part about Miraidon recently has been the way it plays. You just slap him with a really just strong volt switch and pivot. You get to make use of so many mechanics. Like we've been
It's
talking
true.
about this,
It's
but the
true.
Miraidon team that won just feels pretty solved. Like it's pretty hard to imagine how you're gonna iterate on Miraidon further. It will happen. It just seems like the six that won are so polished. Even replacing Urshifu Water for Urshifu Dark, it's not like a crazy amount of difference, especially in the other sets. But it feels so like well crafted. You get to play with Tail Room. You get to play with Armor Tail. You get to play with your Electric Seed, Quark Drive, Light Screen damage reduction. You get to have an Urshifu still. You have redirection. Like you literally get everything on a team, and the pace actually feels good. And you kind of get a spread move with Gleam or Discharge. I mean, everyone's running Gleam now, but it is still lacking, the spread move that Shadow Rider and Ice Rider get. That's the only reason why I can't say it's like definitively better.
I agree with that, especially like you said with the Terra Fairy Dazzle. Like it is really cool, and it does give it like a cool like different defensive Terra plus offensive option. But it is just like I think like why these three are just the best though. It's just hands down like they get to use the best Pokemon. Iron Hands is easily the best Pokemon like in Scarlet and Violet. Like he's so fucking good, and Rhydon makes him better. Like he gives him terrain and a Life Orb boost, right? Like come
No,
on,
exactly.
that's just fucking unfair. And then, like you said, with the Giraffe and Urshifu's still on the squad, it just gets to use like really good Pokemon, and it makes them like just really OP. And that's what these guys do too. Whereas Zam and these guys are like they're kind of more supportive to their own buddies.
Yeah, you need more weight being pulled by the others, whereas like the top three can just end a whole, team on its own.
Dude, they just like literally these two can just snowball like so out of control that you just auto fucking lose with their spread
Dude, they're
move.
fucking war criminals.
They are. They're just. I really wish they weren't in the fucking game. And I do pray to Game Freak every night that when the next games come out, they're just like, hey, we're gonna like stop putting the horses and Urshifu in the game. Like I think we're good for a year or
Dude,
two.
Urshifu's just too much. Like, but the horses too. Yeah,
Same,
like
dude, same with fucking Raging Bull. I think Raging Bull. I think I'll stand by this. He's broken as fuck, and people just like him because he looks cool, and that's the only reason why he's like accepted. Whereas Urshifu, they don't think he looks as cool, so he's not like, like they're not.
No, dude, Raging Bull's also broken because of Urshifu. Like,
That's
if we didn't
true.
have to use that guy, like he'd feel a lot less. I mean, he's cracked. Raging Bolt's awesome, but I don't think he's nearly as toxic.
That's
He's
true.
also not crazy fast.
His stats are pretty nuts. So he has like, I think he has cure level stats, dude.
His stats are nuts, but he's not crazy fast at least.
All right, let's talk about Terapagos. I believe the other A tier. I feel like I'm.
I think he's
sold.
better than Zam, but he is A tier, yeah.
I agree. I think if you're Michael their bestie, I think this guy's like here. But otherwise, yeah. I think
Yeah. I mean, we can order this list. It's actually pretty not hard. It's just the S tier is pretty impossible.
it is. I do feel like these three are just.
I feel like let's just do the
rotating.
order you had it in because that's how it did at Worlds. So
I do think
Um,
though, like that these three are shifting, and like sometimes it is Calyx's time. I would say it's probably between these two, back and forth. I would say Calyx Shadow's.
I think
Calyx.
Calyrex Ice is the best.
And then Shadow 3. I think it's always 3. It obviously does
Is
well. I sometimes, dude, I think it's always people always say it's its time, and it just never performs.
I guess maybe you're right. I think it's just toxic and so broken.
I mean, it is good.
But I
like,
think it's just
obviously,
difficult to play against.
yeah. It has won regionals. It has done really well. It's just that I think sometimes it is like it. I think that team varies a lot, and it is very more meta dependent. Whereas, like we said, like the team that won Worlds is probably done, and you could probably run that team all format long and fucking win a regional with it. I really think it's that good.
Yeah.
Whereas, like I do
Dude,
think
but losing to Shadow Rider is like, it's like No matter what you're using, it's like using Terapagos and losing to Zam. You know, you're playing an auto loss, and it's
Yeah.
crushing. But losing to Shadow Rider with anything, it just feels like your infant just died. Like it's just the worst feeling ever. Ever you never gets old. I think I just have so much hate for him that I overvalue him.
I think so too. And I mean, I think like he always just like there's always that snowball potential. Like if you mess up a turn, if the speed control doesn't go your way, like it really does just get to +3 and everything dies now. And it doesn't even have to think. Like you just turn off your brain and just like win the game. And that's just kind of how it like nasty plot or calm mind, whichever one you're running. It just like can take over a game.
Yeah. But going back to Pagos, I
yeah.
think it's like it's super strong into the top 3 because its ability is sick, gets rid of the terrain. A lot of Ice Rider teams have weather on them, and obviously it just walls like Shadow Rider generally. Combine's sick, it's partners, you get to run the good Pokemon, but also a little bit of creativity. The only thing is it can struggle with some of the pieces of like
Urshifu.
you know Urshifu, Iron Hands, playing around Amoonguss. So it's not just like, oh, I have Pagos, I beat them. But it gives you a pretty good starting point, which is why I would say it's A and not S. You do get a spread move eventually with Terra.
True.
But it's a tricky mon. I think it has a lot of potential. It's just not as intuitive as the top 3.
I agree, and I think there's like different camps. Like, I think people actively work on Pagos, where like, obviously stuff like Zam is a little bit more like they're not really looking into them, but Pagos is something like there's the Calm Mind heads and the Specs dudes. Like, there's two camps. They're both trying to make both sets work, and I think you'll see in Top Cut both sets a lot of the time kind of swing back and forth. Like, there will be someone who will pop off with one of them. So it is just like. He's very much more like meta dependent, and I think you really have to get it right. And I mean, like being weak to Urshifu alone is just like that's like a big red flag. No matter what the Pokemon is, you're weak to Urshifu, get him out of here. I don't really want to use them
You're slower.
unless it's instant. But yeah.
No, but even then, I mean, like, instance,
Yeah, it fell off a little bit.
it sucks playing it into Urshifu. It's part of the toxicity.
Yeah, but I do think like being weak to fighting, and then like I mean, yeah, if you look at the 3 above it, like obviously Pagos is good, especially in a Shadow Rider, but it's got an Urshifu. It's there, like you still have to play
and it's
around
slower. At least CSR can outspeed it.
Yeah. But yeah, I would say that this tier list is the definitive like better tier list. Like I think we nailed this.
I think we crushed it.
I don't think I see it changing much. I do
Lunala
think like
is better than Groudon, but yeah.
okay, there we go. I do think these 3 are going to shift, and like I wouldn't necessarily say like like definitively Ice Rider is the best one or Miraidon is, but I do think like for the most part everything else is like perfectly ordered. This is the best tier list ever. Also, if you want to win tournaments, please use the top 5, please. I don't care how you use them; they're just the best, and they're just leagues better than everything else.
100%, exactly the same. Koraidon and Kyogre are about the same goodness, in my opinion.
I agree. They're not terrible. I love Koraidon. I think he's really fun to play, but
I mean, you'll see me at San Antonio with the Ho-Oh, so.
we did say he was doing pretty good.
Dude, he's better than Sam.
We said he was better than Terapagos too, which I thought was really insane. I don't know where that one was coming from.
That's so good, dude.
I don't know why we were gassing up Ho-Oh like a while ago. That felt kind of nuts.
All right, guys, comment with your best Ho-Oh team in the comments. Let us know how inspired you are.
Maybe we gotta redeem ourselves and work on some Ho-Oh. Maybe we're missing something. Maybe our past selves knew it. Also, I wanted to make it known we did have a world champion Toller with us on that video, so he's partially responsible for the Ho-Oh tier list.
I think it's all him, dude. I don't remember it, but it was all him. Any mistake was
I
because
blacked out and I remembered Ho-Oh and A. That's it. All right, we'll see you guys next time. Peace.